back Lord Forsyth's amendment, definitely.
My Lord.
My Lords, I support Lord Forsyth's amendment, but I want to clarify it's not because it's been implied that that means that I want to fetishise tradition or because I'm frightened of change. I think you can always look at those things critically. But I actually have just not been convinced by any of the arguments that I've heard for this particular change in this document or that I've heard today. It all seems to focus on personal convenience and ease, and it really struck me yesterday when I was listening to the questions on working from home and the sort of general phenomena in society, that this new normal of working from home, we're asking institutions to reorganise themselves around the convenience of a particularly privileged class of workers. I mean, millions can't have that privilege. And that's a debate society's having, but I was rather bemused to see a similar approach in this document, even though we're not talking about working from home. It was, a lot of talk of well-being and work-life balance, for example. But we were told in this committee report that some of those supporting the change argue that sitting should not have to fit around the outside interests of members. So that's a criticism of somebody like me who's got outside interests. Yeah, we were told that the changes were necessary because we should fit around, quote, domestic commitments and caring responsibilities. And that seemed to me an extraordinary shift for this House. As far as I knew, it wasn't a criticism that you had outside interests. And as far as I knew, it wasn't a virtue to be able to say, I'm going home to my family and caring responsibilities. I would just like to say at this point, as an apology to my family, I do care for them and I have got them. It's just that I think that maybe they are not as important as some of the public work that I think we're being asked to do. But genuinely, seriously, outside interest... I know, look, that wasn't meant to be the controversial bit. I can also feel some... yes, I might have a different approach, might be reached at home. Anyway, right. The point I'm making is that I don't want to be made to feel guilty about having outside interests, because I don't want or don't think, that this place, which is on shaky enough democratic grounds as it is, let's be frank, shouldn't suffer from ivory tower syndrome. It would seem to me that a lot of people here have said that there are outside interests like chairing committees and so on and so forth. And these are very big jobs. But I'm even just talking about having a proper job. I've got a real job. It's not very expertise, but it matters to me. But I think we all should want to be outside of this House as much as possible, but in the real world, volunteering a finger on the pulse of society, because we're not democratically elected, but we should at least have some attention to outside. And that's why I think that the important points to be made about school visits, I completely back up. But it's not just school visitors. I mean, I like it when this place is abuzz with visitors. And this is like people from all walks of life that I've tried to invite to come into this place and to talk and to lobby, not official lobbyists, ordinary voter types who might have an opinion that you might want to hear, and that's what I think we should be doing. So I just think that we shouldn't be accused of having outside interests, and you can't have those outside interests in a job or do any work and get in by 1 o'clock. It just doesn't work like that. I can actually do 3 days' work before 3 o'clock sun. Anyway, the other thing we're told... Yeah, sorry, of course, yeah.
If she doesn't mind me saying so, it's a very London-centric argument that she's using. You can't have an outside interest in Newcastle or Stoke or Scotland or anywhere else and function in this House as well.
Yeah. Well, as it happens, this particular lady is no longer living in London, so it's not that London-centric, and I try and do lots of things wherever I am. But anyway, the earlier sitting times were also told in the report, just by the way, sorry, that it's earlier sitting and rising times would allow for a more normal working day. And I just want to emphasise that this is, as has already been said very well by the noble Lord Moore and others, this place shouldn't be normal, right? It's not normal. It's a great privilege, but it's not normal. But the point then is made that late sittings would allow members to, if you make them earlier sittings, you know what I mean, it would allow members to, quoting this, to allow members to get home at a safer and a more convenient time. And I thought a number of things, because there was a number of points made about being a woman and so on. I mean, I hate late sittings. I hate having to hang around till midnight. I hate it. Don't like it. But that's not, I mean, who cares, right? I am, by the way, an old woman, just for Hansard. What can you do? But I do think that when you think about the state of the public's response to this place, I just want to remind you that there are people who work nights, there are people who work really long hours servicing this society, working in sewage and working in rubbish collection and all the rest of it. What they do is they get night buses and late tubes and so on. I mean, people cope, and we can cope with that. So I don't agree with that. The final point I wanted to make was this idea of the 8:30 finish. One of the things I really have regretted about coming in here, and there's been times other things as well, but was that I have to turn down a lot of public speaking in the evenings because community groups or political meetings all start 6:30, 7:30, and you always think, I can't guarantee I'll be there because of the way that the timings works. And if it were the case that we were arguing to change the time so that we could all go and be part of the public square and so on, and we could all be participatory in community work, that would be good. But 8:30 doesn't work at any level, right? Because actually you can't speak at anything at 8:30. All you can do is go home and put on the telly, right? And so it seems to me that this is much too much around our convenience. And so my instinct is that working late into the night and starting later, if we have external and outside things to do on either side of it, is all to the good. And when we say we're working too hard, just don't say that too loud in front of the public. Come on.
My Lords,